Hey guys, so I recently went on a trip to Japan, competed in the Asian Open, did about 5 seminars out there. It was about a 10-day trip including travel. It was fun, but I was pretty tired. It took me out of commission for when I got back. I had just kind of gotten used to the time zone out in Japan, and when I got back I was exhausted, needless to say. I'm trying to get back in the groove of things, and a comic book that I picked up from a friend when I was out there 2 years ago. My friend Katagiri-san, we were talking about comics, and one of the comics that I was interested in getting was the Kimura series. There was a Kimura series about why didn't Kimura kill Rikidozan. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure that the title was correct. And that was in that, they turned that book, it was like a 1,000-page book. They turned that book into a comic book series. And I've been reading it, but the series hasn't finished yet, so I haven't really introduced it to anybody. But my friend was talking about another really good comic book series called Judo-bu Monogatari. Judo-bu Monogatari. Here's a little, if you guys can see it, Judo-bu Monogatari. It's by Kobayashi Makoto. And here's you can see the main characters. This is the 7th one. There was only 7. I think this is the final one. And each of them is like maybe, yeah, Ika. So yeah, there's seven series. And my buddy Mr. Katagiri, he gave this to me as a present. I'm really thankful that he got this for me. He got all seven of the books. I think you have to special order them. They're really hard to find. Here's the first one. It comes in a nice little cover. But anyways, it's about this high school student in Japan. High school's 3 years, and when you enroll in high school, you typically enroll in a club sport, or it's a club activity. Maybe it's band or something. Whatever it is, it's a club, and it's something that you do 6 to 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Once you get into your 3rd year of high school, because Japan's only 3 years, it's your sophomore, junior, and senior year. Once you get into your 3rd year of high school, you have only about half a year. And then not even half a year, like the first 4 months of the school year, and the school year starts in April. I would say probably summer, or like the first 2 months, maybe like April, May, June, maybe July. That's when your club activities kind of end, and you start to focus on career development, looking for a job, or getting ready for school, the entrance exams to get into university. So this is the series is it documents the first 2.5 years of high school life, and it's pretty interesting. This guy, the main character's name, he's called Sango Jugo, and it's kind of a funny name because Sango is like 3'5", and it could also be taken as like 3 times 5. But his last name is Jugo, which means 15. So it's like 3 times 5 is 15. That's his name. And then throughout the book, somebody says like, yeah, his name's multiplied, and he had never done judo until he enrolled in high school, and he gets good really fast. He goes from being a complete beginner, a white belt, to being like a 2nd degree black belt, and he's in the running for the national, high school national title. And it's a pretty crazy series. Let me just show you what the pictures look like. So if you take a look at the pictures, you can see, it's like pretty realistic. If you look at the throw, you can see kind of the throw where the guy started, the guy that's getting thrown was, and where he's going. You can see, if you look at the guy's this middle picture here, the guy who's doing the throw, look at his head movement. You see where his head was, and then where it's going. And it's like pretty realistic grip. So if you know, if you want to do some cross training in judo, read Judo-bu Monogatari. But anyways, you know, Sango, his you know, he said whereas people would just get better one step at a time, they say Sango multiplied his progress. And you know, his name's kind of foreshadowing of that. Or it's a metaphor maybe. But it's a fun little book. You get a little insight into Japanese culture, high school culture, judo culture, and you know, just the different aspects of the sport. It's pretty interesting. I highly recommend it. You know, I don't think you can find a translation in English. You know, something that I could do is like maybe do a couple pages, maybe do the first one in English. I've heard that what people do sometimes is they photocopy all the pages and then they white out the words, and then they write over where the words were in English as a translation. Maybe I'll do the, you know, like the beginning of the very first series and see how that goes. It sounds pretty daunting to me. But yeah, check it out. There's a lot of really cool things in. So this book was a series. It didn't just come out like as a you know, comic book. It was a series that I think it was in a weekly series. And in the weekly series, they say that a guy named Koga, who is a multiple world champion, multiple Olympic champion from Japan, and he's famous for the Seoi Nage. He talks about the book. The book was, some of his technique is illustrated in this book, and so he was an inspiration. The author Kobayashi Makoto talks about how Koga was an inspiration for writing the book, or he had inspiration in it. And then there was I think a 3-time Olympic gold medalist from Japan. His name is Nomura. He's retired now, but he also talks about reading the book and how Sango was kind of not necessarily a mentor, but something that he looked to as inspiration, or he found inspiration from, you know, in his thoughts, because it goes deep. It goes pretty deep into the sports psychology and your approach, thinking about how you're going to train, how you can get better. You know, Sango is a brand new competitor, and he's put into these match situations where he loses sometimes, matches where he should win, and then he wins matches where there was no way he was supposed to lose. But there's a lot of kind of reality to getting a little edge, right? Finding that edge in competition, in practice, so that you can get better faster than your opponent. It's really interesting because we all, you know, what the book shows is there's a limited time, your high school career, and what you do with it, the choices that you make are yours, and you get to own them. And you see that with this comic. You see that there's an end to the career, and so that you have to, knowing what you want to accomplish in high school, you have to work towards it. And it's pretty neat to see that, not just in the comics, but then to see people like Koga and Nomura talk about it. If you go on YouTube, you can find some videos of them talking about reflecting on reading these while they were competing in judo. I recommend, I'll try and put the link in the description, and maybe I can do like a subtitle translation of the actual one. But yeah, check it out, Judo-bu Monogatari. See if you can find anything in English. Here's the English for Monogatari, if you guys can see right here on the bottom here, over here. But it's by Kobayashi Makoto. Happy training, guys. Talk to you guys.